Hey everybody, it's Stu. I'm back home in Western New York after traveling around the East Coast. So there's no other place I'd rather come to from than right here in Mother Nature. I wanted to share with you some strumming that comes from flamenco techniques. The flamenco word for this kind of strumming is called Rasgueado, which literally means to rasp. It's where you extend the fingers. I want to show you ways of approaching this that'll be ergonomically healthy for your hand, also more rhythmically accurate. You can use this in non-flamenco style playing. It's often nicknamed the flick in strumming, kind of like this in a standard way. Also sometimes called the fan stroke. So at first, flicking or using rasgueado appears to be nothing more than extending the fingers over the strings. And you know, that's really all it is. But there are some tips I'd like to share with you from my study of flamenco and classical guitar. It'll really make it a lot easier on your hand. It's very easy to overdo it at first, and you can damage the extensor compartment of tendons. I'll explain what that is in a moment. 3. D minor. There are ants eating my leg. So let's get to the point before I get chomped up here. It's dusk. Extending the fingers is an action from the extensor compartment. Now, you have 2 rows of tendons in your arm. They're the flexors that are on the inside of your arm. They pull the hand closed. They move this way. Then you have the extensors that move this way, and they open up the hand. Most of the activities in life are using the flexors. You know, we grab a shovel, we play the ukulele, we're holding on to a steering wheel. There's not a lot of activity in our life where we're, actually having to use strength as we open up the hand. When was the last time you opened up your hand into anything? Not often. So it's really important to have a very light touch upon the strings. So here's how you practice. First in midair. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, and. I'll do it in 3, 4. 1, triplet 2, triplet 3, and. When I'm doing this, I'm not flicking the fingers out with any force off the thumb. I'm really just simply opening up the fingers. And if you want to go deep into this, you can really just open up the fingers and watch them. Get to know how much your fingers open up. Never force it. The pinky only comes up that much. Don't try to make it come up like this. You're just going to overextend things back there. 1, triplet 2, triplet 3, and. Then when you do this on the strings, very lightly, you could try just with the open strings. Actually, let's use the chord I played, A major, and we'll go 1, triplet 1, triplet 1, and. In 3, 4 time, it's 1, 2, 3, and. So the downbeat is always the index finger. 1, triplet 2, triplet 3, and. 1, triplet 2, triplet 3, and. Very light, very fluid. Remember, you don't use a lot of muscle in your life opening up the hand against something. So it really should feel like you're just opening up into air. Pay attention to how much your fingers naturally want to open up without any force. 1, triplet, 1, triplet, 1, and. When I was first studying this stuff, I used to just practice on a coat. Don't resist against it, and don't flick out the fingers. That is a technique you can use for more force, for more power, but don't do that right now. Just one triplet, don't. Besides, that technique is really only effective on wound steel strings. I mean, it's not that it's not effective here, but it's more effective on low bass strings on a classical guitar. Blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the other tip I want to share with you. Make sure that you're being very precise with the rhythm. It's easy to have it just be a sloppy mush. Now, don't get me wrong, a sloppy mush of a flick is totally fine if you're playing, I don't know, like... See? It's not a very defined rhythm. It's just a little smush before the chords. Hear that little smush? And that's fine. Be able to do that too. But when you're playing this precise flamenco stuff, the power comes from the really even division of the triplet. So go very slow and make sure that you're really listening for one triplet. Then when you turn up the speed, it's very defined. Finally, before the cliff gives way and the ants eat me alive, I want to share with you a practice tip, because some folks, when I show them this flamenco stuff, they say to me, okay, I understand the concept, but my fingers just don't extend over all the 4 strings just yet. So there's a way to practice this that was shown to me by a teacher, and he suggested that I plant the thumb on the 2nd string. This was on guitar, but it works on ukulele too, and just play 1 string. And this will do a couple of things. It'll bring a lot of attention to how little you have to do. You know, the Rasgueado flicking is a very powerful sound, but it doesn't have to be very forceful. So very lightly, and then I would move my thumb down to the 3rd string and play 2 strings. And your body's wisdom, if you're paying attention, you'll start to figure out how you need to hold the fingers. You might have to angle them a little bit this way. Throughout all this, make sure that your wrist isn't collapsed into the face. That's very important, and something I probably should have mentioned before. The hand is up like that. Okay, so there's space between the wrist and the instrument. Okay, then you rest the thumb on the 4th string, and now you play 3 strings. I'm just playing the open strings here. Okay, and then when you play all 4, extend and it's almost supported with a little wrist twist. It's like an itty-bitty strum motion. So it's 1 triplet, 1 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then the chords I was playing was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, B flat. Flick 2 fingers. And what I'm doing there is I'm using the C7 at the 3rd fret, B7, B7 at the 2nd fret, B flat 7 at the 1st fret, and then A. And I'm using these 2 fingers, flicking them out from the palm.